Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to talk about the really weird carry hero that has recently shot into the meta, especially in high MMR pubs. Today what we'll be doing is we're going to be following Depressed Kid's carry Tiny, where he absolutely 1v9s the game. He's a rank 47 carry player and recently won Tier 8 Battle Cup, which you know is the major accomplishment in any Dota player's career. But without further ado, I want to talk about what makes this hero good before we actually get into the analysis of the replay. So there's a couple of main things. Number one, tree throw, when you throw it, does 200% damage. This was buffed from 150%, a 50% increase when you throw the tree. It actually matters quite a bit, and we'll see examples of that in the replay. Also, Tiny has some of the best talents for a carry in the game. He is a level 10 strength talent, which is 200 HP and 10 damage. At level 15, his auto attacks do 15% more damage. At level 20, he gets 15% status resist, which is just simply good. And at level 25, he gets either 2 toss charges, which lets you right-click people for a long period of time, or an avalanche cooldown talent, which is also pretty insanely good, considering it makes avalanche a 6-second cooldown. Kind of insane, right? On top of that, I'd like to say that I think his team comp this game is actually extremely well crafted around the Tiny carry. In particular, I'll be talking about Venge and why I think Venge is so good with Tiny carry in the mid game, but he also just has Empower and a bunch of stuns. When you have that on your team as a hero like Tiny carry, you're very likely to hit people, because otherwise Tiny carry kind of gets kited. He's very slow, Blink is his mobility item, so once he commits in, he kind of just gets stuck, but nonetheless, let's get into the replay. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. So first things first, you can start with these starting items every single game. The only exception to this is if you really need a stick in lane, you can go right 3 branches, quelling, tango, stick, and that is all right as well. Now the laning stage is actually really simple on this hero. Basically, all you do is you take a tree and you last hit and deny. For the most part, you want to use it to last hit. Reason being is you only get 5 auto attacks, so if you use it too much to deny, you're simply going to run out. On top of that, every single time you only have 1 tree throw left, you should throw the tree. And we'll get more into that in a minute. And here we are. So in this clip here, he's going to throw the tree at the Veno, but not specifically at the Veno. As I just talked about, your tree throw does 200%. It's a double damage if you throw it at something next to the person you want to do damage to. So right here, you'll see he just wants to harass the Veno, and look how he does it. He just chucks it at the range creep, and look at Veno's HP. Pretty freaking insane, right? Look at that. How crazy is that? Right? And that's not a long cooldown as well, and, you know, considering it also gives you 4 auto attacks with the tree, this ability is pretty insane. You just have to make sure every single time you have it up and you have 1 charge remaining, you get the primary value out of it and you get the harass. Otherwise, you're not going to dominate on this hero. On top of that, talking about dominating with this hero, anytime you have avalanche and you don't have tree throw, you should use avalanche to secure range creeps. It's very important. It's basically a guarantee on the CS. Following ahead at level 3, you want to take 2 points avalanche. I think a lot of people might fall temptation to take toss. You just don't have mana for it, so don't take toss at level 3. Next up in terms of items, what he goes is a stick, into boots, into soul ring. This is about what you're going to go every single game. This hero just needs movement speed and mana, and so this is the items you need to do that. On top of that, Tiny has no innate sustain, right? He has literally no innate sustain and a ton of HP. What that means is you need to insist that your support buys you a ton of salves. If they don't, you will run out of mana, guaranteed. And so please, ask your support to buy salves, or if you're a support with a Tiny carry, buy him 2 to 3 salves in the laning stage. Next up is my favorite clip in this entire game, which is, this is S4's Veno, by the way, right? So this is a very high tier game, and he's gonna wrap on S4 here. Has a major level 5 spike, right? So the avalanche does a stupid amount of damage. If you guys don't know how Tiny avalanche works, if you toss the person while they're avalanched, avalanche does 2.5 times damage. So obviously avalanche can do like 500 damage here, which is insane, right? On top of that, notice how the kill execution goes here and pay very close attention to the tree throw. So as he initiates, he's going to go in, right? Lead in with the Soul Ring, pop the Soul Ring, he's gonna go in, Avalanche Toss, auto attack, right? Make sure you get that auto attack off when they're in the middle of the air. You can use your attack move command to make sure that you do not misclick and not click on them. So you can use this to guarantee that you just auto attack the nearest unit. Then after that, right after the auto attack comes out, you want to cancel the animation by throwing the tree at a nearby creep. He specifically throws it at the range creep, which does 178 damage to the Veno, and he finishes him off with an auto attack. Absolutely insane how much burst damage this hero does, especially if you do not mess up the first auto attack with toss and the tree throw. Moving ahead, at level 11, what you should have is maxed out Avalanche, maxed out Tree Grab, level 10 Talent, and then you should basically just start clearing stacks and clearing ancients. Another thing to consider when you're playing Tiny is to ask for stacks and stack for yourself. Your hero obviously takes them very, very easily with the tree throw. And yeah, this is about it. For the most part, you're going to be farming. You should consider showing up the fights though, right? Obviously, this hero does a stupid amount of damage in the early game. So if you're farming a nearby camp, or you're farming near the midwave and a fight breaks out, feel free to show up. Once you have your Blink Dagger, this is when you definitely want to show up the fights. This is when you want to actively look for plays. And so let's take a look at how Depressed Kid executes on that. So actually what I want to do here is I actually want to specifically look at a fight a little bit later on into the game here. And I want to talk about a big weakness of Tiny and how Depressed Kid plays around that. Tiny's biggest weakness as a carry is the fact that the hero has no disengage. I talked about it a bit earlier on, you don't have mobility, mobility is Blink Dagger, and so in this upcoming fight his supports are going to get jumped, and let's see what he does. So as the fight breaks out here, the Sven gets a god tier jump onto the Pugna and the Venge, and he just walks away. I know it's like, it's just mundane and there's nothing particularly exciting about this clip, but the reality is what most players do here is they get caught up in the action and they completely forget about the fact that, hey, my two supports, or two heroes, two squishy heroes are dead, I need to just get out. So he makes the correct play to just chill, picks up a tree, realizes, okay, this is just a bad fight, and he gets out. So really well done on his part to understand that, hey, I just need to get out, because if he was to commit, he would get stuck and inevitably die. He would get poisoned by Veno, slowed down, and kited out. On the note of getting kited out, that's why you buy Satanic as your third item. There are some variants to this. Some people go Silver Edge, which is a pretty reasonable item. The crit on Tiny is incredible. Some people go BKB, but honestly, from the games I've watched, Satanic looks the best to me. It gives you a ton of damage, right? It's a very high damage item. It's an 80 damage item, which is quite good. It gives you a Dispel, which is massive, especially in a game like this against a Quap Dagger, against a Veno. It's so good to have the Satanic Purge here, but in most games, the Purge is honestly useful. There's always going to be something to dispel. And being able to turn on a hero that cannot run away is really important. You might be saying, oh, but then can't you just buy a BKB? Yes, but if you go BKB, you can't really front line. You can go in, but you can't really soak that much damage, and when BKB ends, you're pretty worthless. And you guys know how much of a fan I am of BKB, so it's not easy for me to say that. It's just that Tiny has so much HP inherently and armor because of his ulti, so he can kind of get away with not going in. Coming up here, we're going to see our first favorable fight of the game. Keep in note as well, around the 25 to 30 minute mark, you should be aiming for about 10 CS per minute. Optimally, you can see as 255 by 25, but let's get into the fight. So now as the fight breaks out, you're going to notice he's just basically going to jump the first person he sees. And this is the general gist of Tiny in the mid to late game. So he finds the Sven here and goes in, right? Avalanche toss into the double hit. After the double hit, you want to throw your tree. Please keep in mind, every single time you go on someone, this is basically what you're going to do. The only exception to this, okay, the only exception to doing the double hit into throwing the tree is if the person is so tanky that you think there is no way they're going to get bursted. Because then, when you have your shard, which he has picked up here at the 20 minute mark, it causes your tree grab to have no charge limit. And so when you throw the tree, you actually lose out on a lot of attack range and damage. And so there is a downside to it. So keep that in mind. But yeah, as the fight breaks out, they were able to burst his Sven, so throwing the tree was the correct call. Moving on from there, he's going to kite out. Reason why he's going to kite out, no avalanche, no toss, no tree grab, needs to wait for these cooldowns. Rubik ends up blinking on him, you know, a little bit of a cycle play from the Rubik. Sentry comes out, once again, same thing, double toss into the double hit. He didn't actually throw the tree there, but honestly, he should have, because you notice in a couple seconds here, he actually is just going to throw the tree and finish off the kill onto the Rubik. Then, what do you think he does next? Kites out. And you can kind of see the pattern. You go on the closest person, you do your combo, and then you kite out, right? And obviously you want to also hold the Satanic as long as humanly possible. He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. Gets a beautiful toss onto the Monkey King to cancel out, to cancel out the Monkey King ulti. Gets swapped out by Venge, and then gets a really nice Satanic turn play, right? Full heals. Beautifully done. And this is the value of the tiny carry here. Being able to burst down multiple units in a fight, soak up the majority of the damage, and then full heal off a couple of decent Satanic hits. Next up, we're going to see the kind of just general power of his team comp. Really good stuff here. So fight breaks out, another good swap. This is kind of why, like, I just love this Venge so much with this Tiny. I can't stress how good I think this combo is for a couple of reasons. Number one, when Tiny is sitting next to Venge, if Venge has Aura and Vlad's, which eventually this Venge will buy Vlad's, the Venge is at some point in this game, with Empower, going to give him like 170 damage. Because Empower is also based off your base damage, right? It gives you damage based off your base damage. It also is mega amped from the fact that, right, Tiny Ultimate gives bonus damage, but that bonus damage is just base damage. I know it says bonus, but it's base, and so things like Vlad's, Venge Aura, and Empower are actually mega good with Tiny. I don't know if they planned out all these hero picks. I doubt they did, but it ends up being really incredible how much bonus damage they give to the Tiny here. And so I think this Magnus and this Venge are incredibly good picks with this Tiny carry. On top of that, I once again noted how bad, right, Tiny's ability to kite out is. So the Venge swap is incredibly good, and we see that here. He gets swapped out, and now with this tree and Satanic, he's able to heal up a ton. Beautiful RP here. The Rubik also blinked in to steal the Aegis, throws out the tree, and oh my god, the enemy team just explodes. Next up, you're going to buy a Daedalus. The only exception to this is you can buy Silver Edge if the enemy team is only split pushing and you need to pick them off. Then Silver Edge is good for that. Next up, I thought this fight was expertly played and actually really funny. Like this play, you'll see when the Sven tries to man up to him, how kind of funny and good this Tiny hero can be in the late game. It's honestly Tiny's biggest strength, in my opinion, his late game, which is kind of crazy. But as the fight breaks out, insta-kills the Rubik, beautiful tree throw onto the RP units. It does 900 damage to Monkey King in 2 autos. And then he's like, I have no tree grab, I need to run away. But look at his damage, he has like 800 damage, and Sven is doing nothing to him. It was just hilarious to me, it just like bops. Sven's like, oh god, I need to get out. And that's crazy, a lot of carries just can't man up to you, it's insane. They just can't, because of all this bonus damage that he has, a little bit of lifesteal. He also got lucky enough to have the Paladin sword this game, which is obviously incredibly good with a hero like Tiny and Satanic, as well as the Vlad's. So yeah, he really has like the perfect Tiny game here. The thing is, even if it's not the perfect Tiny game, you can imagine that you can do everything he's doing here, just like 20% worse. And honestly, in pubs, because of the net worth difference, if you're as farmed as he is in a game like this, it's going to feel about the same as you're seeing in this replay, if not better. And finally, for this last play in this, basically the last clip in this game, besides a clip which I'll show you in a bit where he one-shots a Veno, he gets initiated on here, and you can see it's just not good enough. 15% status resist, right? A dumpy amount of armor, a Satanic. He gets jumped, but beautifully done. He gets the avalanche off. That should basically always be your first option when you're getting initiated on. It just obviously prevents the enemy team from bursting you. The mini stuns are incredible. And yeah, because of the nice follow-up Fisher, he's able to just completely heal through this initiation, and oh my god. Oh my god. Really good Fisher from Earthshaker, by the way, but man, this damage is insane. I mean, literally, the Sven. This is a Sven, guys. This is a Sven with god strength. Could not even come close to manning up. And you might be like, oh, this is an underfarmed Sven. Yeah, is this an underfarmed Sven? Does this look underfarmed to you? Is this underfarmed? No! It's the furthest thing from underfarmed. It's just how this hero works in the late game. It just beats people up. And yeah, that's gonna be about the end of today's video. I'll show you one more clip where he does a 2000 damage crit onto Veno. Here you go. Very cool. And yeah, that's gonna be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you're inspired to pick this hero. I will say that Tiny in general has low win rate in pubs. This is a hero that requires quite a bit of games, okay? I'm ending the video with this because Tiny, you have to know how to avalanche toss, you have to know when to throw the tree, and you have to have the discipline to farm on this hero, even though it's notoriously a fighting hero. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace! And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below. and I'm out. Peace.